President Trump keeping his campaign promises and Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly signing a memorandum implementing Trump's executive order to build up security and eventually a wall along our border with Mexico. Now, in it, it shows that the Customs and Border Protection Agency has identified multiple locations where current protections no longer viable, no good, and the wall will be most effective in places such as El Paso, Texas, Tucson, Arizona, and El Centro, California. I used to live near there once, so I know the area well. I'm joined now by Paul Bonicelli, Acton Institute Director of Programs and former Foreign Policy Advisor to President Bush, and Ellis Hennekamp, who writes the Trump's America column for the Metro papers. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being here. Ellis, let me begin with you. I mean, this is just a follow-through of what Donald Trump said he would do, now President Trump. I understand there's going to be some 15,000 more officers added to Customs and ICE divisions. And more interestingly, I think, was the word today that Dreamers are going to continue to have protection. I wanted to get your feedback on that.
Oh, well, it's a great human move as long as it holds. I think most Americans have deep sympathy for young people brought here at an early age by their parents, little control. Do we really want to throw all those kids out? I think most Americans, and maybe even Donald Trump, will say, no, that's not how we should be enforcing our immigration laws.
And Paul, you know, Donald Trump said during his memorable news conference last week that he did feel for the Dreamers, that it broke his heart. These were good kids, had no say in how they ended up in this country. Do you think this is a good move politically by President Trump?
Sure, I think it's a good move politically. After all, Texas and I think one other state has also tried to be as kind as they could to children who had no say whatsoever in becoming illegal immigrants. And so that makes perfect sense. But to something Ellis said, this country is filled with people who are very passionate about seeing our laws enforced. So I am not shocked at all that President Trump is enforcing the laws as Congress has written them. It makes perfect sense. If we don't like those laws, then petition your member of Congress to get them changed. But it's time that we enforce the law. Well,
that's a good point, Ellis. The laws are there, they're just never enforced. People came here illegally. Bottom line, they committed a crime doing that.
Well, that is technically correct. But you know what? The Dreamer case, I think, reflects more broadly in a way. If all you do is have a rigid enforcement attitude, you've got to do stuff that you don't want to do. You've got to evict 11 million people from this country. The consequences of that are utterly unthinkable if you really come down to it. So it seems to me what you have to do is recognize the law. Maybe it does need to be changed. But recognize the law and then apply some common sense and some human decency and some American values to it. And I'll say, if you do that, you're not going to be throwing all those people out.
You know, Paul, Sean Spicer said today the number one priority is to secure the border. We know there are 11, 12, God knows how many million illegal immigrants in this country. Seal off the border, make it proper, make sure that it works as best you can, and then deal with those that are here illegally already, beginning with the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. And that, I guess, criminal illegal, undocumented, I think, is what some people call them. They're here illegally, bottom line. If they're committing violent crimes, they should be gone, and that's where they need to begin, right, Paul?
Absolutely. And by the way, not one word of those memos or anything since he's been president says he's going to evict 11 million people. That's not the direction this is going. It's an enforcement of the law. It is starting with criminals. It is not sectoring off people as protected groups. And about the border security, you know, for years my Border Patrol friends have been telling me the main thing that is needed is enforcement of the laws, not jerking them back and forth on the enforcement of the laws, and then technology and other stopgap measures along the way to secure the border. And one more thing, Ashley, when the message is sent that the United States is now not open for whoever wants to come, whenever they want to come, for whatever reason, the flow will begin to slow down, particularly from countries other than Mexico, and that's important.
And that's a good point, Paul, because I was on a show earlier today where I got a lot of Twitter messages or tweets saying, upset that they were protecting the Dreamers. They're saying this is just another way of inviting or enticing people to come here legally, bringing their children in the hope that the children will be able to live here.
Well, actually, some of the good news is, first of all, that flow has dramatically stopped. In fact, there are more people going to Mexico home than coming back from Mexico. And I would remind
So it's working.
Well, maybe so. And that was the Obama approach to it. You know, one thing to remember is that the last stab at law and order on this topic from President Trump has neither been lawful, according to the courts, nor remotely orderly. So let's see how we do this time. But the message so far hasn't really been that encouraging, I'm afraid.
Last word to you, Paul.
Well, Well, who's going home is Mexicans, and of course that's good. Their economy has been better for them to go home.
Yeah.
But Central Americans and others have not been going home, and so the message needs to be clear. You can come in an orderly fashion, but you can't just act like there's not a border anymore.
We'll have to leave it right there. We could talk for a long time, and many people have, and it's a long, long talk into the future. Thank you both, Paul Bonicelli, Ellis Henneken, as always. Thank you so much, both, for being here.
Thank you.